hosts, Nina Soul
and Patrick Wilson
of Elements, a monthly dance ritual based in Oakland, California, centered around deep and soulful Black House music. In this podcast, we host conversations with artists and creatives on dance culture. In this episode, we sat down with Jersey-based producer and DJ and Shelter resident Mark Francis and vocalist Aaron K. Gray. The conversation took place in Oakland ahead of our 9-year Elements anniversary party in January of 2024. In this conversation, we talk about the past and present scene in Jersey, dance circles, and the evolution of the music. Yes. Welcome, everyone. This is the Elements podcast. I am Nina Soul.
I am Patrick Wilson.
And we have two esteemed guests in the house today. Yes.
Thank you.
We have
Mark Francis. I'm Mark Francis.
I'm Aaron K. Gray.
We have Eric K. Gray, Mark Francis, for those watching, for those listening. We're so excited to have y'all. We about to celebrate our 9th year anniversary, and we wanted to take advantage and sit down and have some conversation and just learn a little bit more about you all as people and your music and your inspiration. Obviously, y'all bring a lot of energy and joy to the dance floor, and that's why y'all are here. And we're just so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
So we always like to start off with a question, which is, we'll start with Mark. Who is Mark Francis?
Who is Mark Francis? I don't know. It's just a regular kid that got into house music since 1994. Hearing Follow Me on someone walking down the block on a boombox, hearing that and just fell in love with it. I think when I was in high school, I got more into the DJing, got my first turntable. Actually, a DJ got me into it was Stretch Armstrong. Got me into DJing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a big fan of him. He was so smooth and cutting, and I was liking that. So then I listened to him, and then I remember one that got my own turntables. I never got 1200. I got the new Marks, and I used to go to Rock and Soul, buy records, and fell in love with the house music, and just took it from there. I couldn't find the records I wanted, but I was finding white labels, not the originals. And then at that time frame, things changed. So just I've evolved from being the music, loving the music, being a fan, going to the parties, to where I'm at today. So
you said Follow Me was that first record
that was the first record that caught my attention. Yeah.
Okay. What was the first record that you bought at the record store when you went to buy a house record? Do you remember?
When I buy a house record, there was so many white labels. I remember I found the Kenny Bobian album that he did. It was an album. It was a compilation. It was in a Jersey record store. Because I used to go to this bar in Newark, and I used to listen to some of this music, and then we hear like Down, 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 Down. That was one of them. And CeCe Peniston, Where Our Love Began. But some of the white labels, there was white labels at the time, but I couldn't find them any underground stuff. And at that time, I think maybe that was the house record. Oh, no. Take it away. It was a song called, it was a white label that had a track, it was Emotions, and by Kerry Chandler was on the other side. I remember that. Finding that record. It was but it was all white labels at that time. They had the originals because the store used to sell all the white labels of them. Yeah.
Were you aware that Elias was from New Jersey?
No, I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And when I heard the Follow Me, I asked my brother, like, what is that? He's like, that's house music. I was like, okay. And then I came in the house, and my brother had a tape. Another DJ that got me into house music, his name was Wimpy B. And my brother put this tape on, and that tape started with the B side of Follow Me. Remember, Follow Me had another version.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what version is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then it came on after that was Shelter. Mm-hmm. And it was all of that. So I didn't know they were from Jersey until I think actually later on I found out, but I didn't know. But that just drew me from the house music. And then I got into the radio, listening to 107.5 was live at Club America. When I was a young kid. So I listened to them. I remember the first record, a person I heard live on the radio was the girl that sang Russian, Laura Clark. Gotta be Russian. She sung that live on Club America. And then when I listened to 107.5, I left I didn't know Timmy and Merlin was on there, so I left and went to Tony Humphries. And then Louis Vega was on Hot 97 too at that time, and Frankie Knuckles. So at that time frame.
So what are we talking? 90?
94, 95, 96, 97. But I was still into Stretch Armstrong because he had a show. So I would listen to everything. I was just a music lover. And the funny thing, the way I found Stretch Armstrong, I loved the music. And I had this radio, and I was in my room, and it was a Haitian music playing. And I was listening to it. It was catchy. It was like whatever they talking in their language. And I was listening 89.9. I'm listening to it, and I fell asleep. And I woke up like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, what's this? It was hip hop. And I was like, what is this? And they were cursing. I was like, so I'm a kid, like, wow, seventh grade listening to this. So I'm over here like, what is this? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And next thing you know, it was no alarms. So the next week, I would try to do the same thing, fall asleep, wake up, and maybe one night I caught it like 5 o'clock. I missed it. And I just got into the loving that until I got my own radio. I got my own radio. My sister, somebody got it for me, and I started taping them. I got in trouble a lot for taping Stretch Armstrong because I was in 8th grade at that year, and I was Thursday night, 5 hours straight, listening from 1 in the morning to 4 in the morning. I had to go to school the next day. And the trick was when you fall asleep, you close your eyes, you sleep, and you hear that tape stop. So you flip the tape over 120 minutes at that time frame. So I got a lot of troubles, but he actually got me into the DJing part of it because I just love his technique. And I remember my brother came home. That's always touching. My brother passed away, but he came home with his autograph for me.
Wow.
And I met Stretch Armstrong at Shelter Anniversary. What year was that? I think when Ron played at Shemansky. With Stretch Armstrong
was this during the time they had the back room and they had the X-Men?
So it was one of the rooms. The Stretch was there, and I pulled him and I said, "Hey, I'm the reason I'm DJing because of you." And he's with these girls. He's like, "See, I told you I'm a role model." That's the people that. So yeah, that's the story of Mark Francis.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Gray. Yes. Who are you? Who is Aaron Gray?
So, I am your neighbor. I'm your friend. I'm your brother. I'm your vocalist. I'm just a really cool, chill guy that gets along with pretty much everybody. I'm not quite as familiar with all the things that Mark Francis is, but I'm making my rounds. I'll get there. Tony Humphries was the guy who actually started my career alongside with Junior White and Noah Barbera with Wonder Why. So I'm grateful to them for that because that's a legacy there.
What was the first song you recorded on?
Wonder Why.
Wonder Why.
Well, in house music, Wonder Why, but before that there was a song called I forgot the name of it. I was like 16 when I recorded it, and it never got released. Never got released, but I was 16 when I recorded it. Then I had an album that was released in R&B called Body Rain, and it's everywhere still. That's from 2001. So there's some things on there. If you want me to mix something up there, let me know. I got it. There's actually house music on that.
Okay, I have a quick question for you. I know you do a lot of different types of music, but there's a lot of gospel there that I noticed. So is there a church background or?
Absolutely. So my father was a pastor. My mother made sure I was in the choir, and then it just stayed from there. Okay. When I was in, so the city sees my father's church. So then we went to Church of God in Christ. So growing up, Kojic, that's where I got a lot of the influence from, like Karen Clark Sheard, Kim Burrell, even some J. Moss and things of that nature, the Pace Sisters. So that's where all of that comes from. So that's why sometimes when you hear me, it's like you can't deny it. It's just, it is what it is. Then after that, I went to a church called Plantation Worship Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So it was kind of Caribbean based. So then that started to change my perspective and understanding on what gospel music can be, depending on where you're from. And then after Plantation Worship Center, I went to Redemptive Life, which is in West Palm, which was a whole nother perspective. So it's like I felt like I got the world of
diaspora.
Yeah, of yeah, which actually was really cool because I learned something different from all. But I also understand that learning something different from all doesn't mean that you cancel out other things. It just means that you figure out how they work together. So.
And were either your parents singers, or how did music come into your life?
My mother used to sing, and then my sister sang. My oldest sister Barbara, and then I got into singing, but I'm the one that made it the furthest. I think because I wanted it more. I wanted it more than my mom and my sister did. I think my mom, she just sang because she loves to. And I remember I got her, I begged her many, many, many years. I said, Mom, come sing with me once. So I got her to come and sing with me at this church. And the whole church was so excited because nobody knew that my mom sang but me. Because I was here in the house, my father knew. But outside, so it was a massive honor.
Are you born and raised in New Jersey, or?
I'm not even from New Jersey.
Oh.
Born and raised in Florida, but I'm really a New Yorker now because I've been there since 1999, so I'm definitely a New Yorker. I like to consider myself New York, New Jersey, because, yeah, I live in New York, but New Jersey is still my home at heart because that's where my music took off, and that's who embraced me first. So even though I may live in New York, Jersey is home, so.
Yeah, shout out to Jersey.
Absolutely.
Woo, woo.
Absolutely. So, jumping back to Mark, I know you mentioned Stretch as being one of your early influences, and Stretch has a hip hop background. But who were some of your earlier house music DJ influences? Maybe some names that we may not be familiar with.
DJ. So at that time when I stopped DJing, like early, more like 2002, 2003, I wasn't DJing. So I remember going to this party. I heard Timmy on the radio a lot. So that was just different for me, but I just never went to the show at the party. So I remember 2002, around that 2002, before I moved to Newark, I get a Naeem Johnson CD. So I heard the CD and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like some of these records I heard Timmy play. And I was playing the CD so much that it started getting beat up. So I remember saying to somebody, I need music like this. Where can I go? Because at the time it was CDs. And this person told me to go to Newark, New Jersey. So I go to Newark, New Jersey, and I go downtown Newark. And somebody said, go to this cart. And I go to this cart, and my good friend Max that passed away, I met everybody through Max, actually. Max was like, we don't have Naeem Johnson, but we have Omar Abdallah. And I was like, Omar Abdallah? And when I heard it, Omar Abdallah CD was like, wow. Because it was just records that I never heard, stuff that I never heard. He was live on the radio, too. We had a mix. And I remember they were like 3 for $25. I bought good $200 worth. So I bought $200 worth. So that for like 2 years, I was buying those CDs so that I was an Omar Abdallah fan. And I would listen to, I liked Jihad. I heard about Jihad. And at the time, Jihad was playing at another club. So I used to come over from Jersey and listen to that. So at that time when I moved to Newark, I met Omar at a party. So then I started hanging with Omar. So then Omar, they was calling me Little Omar's brother. But I was so, when I say like, sometimes I say like I'm the iPod, because on Omar CDs, Omar had the covers and had everything on the cover with the names. So if you told me, hey Omar, I want to hear Pure. Oh, go to Inner Dimension 6. Go to Inner Dimension number 5. They be like, so one time I was at a party, Omar, and he met me and he dropped a box of CDs. So I was getting CDs from somebody else. So I was going from the Connect. So now I went from the Source. So I was like, wait a minute, I ain't got this. So I started buying them. And I remember these girls came over and he's DJing. Like, can you help them? So I was like, what you need? She's like, I need Brighter Days. Oh, that's Club Classics number 4. And he was like, how do you know all this? I said, I study your CDs. So I started hanging with Omar.
Mm-hmm.
So Omar was my influence, and then Omar, Max and them brought me to the shelter. Like I said, I listened to it the first time, and I remember the first night I went to the shelter, and I just started hanging, meeting everybody. So then got to be Timmy Fran and all of that from going there. I was a fan from going to the shelter, listening to Timmy and all of them. So it was Omar Abdallah, Jihad, Timmy at that time frame. I was listening to all of them at that time. Irene Johnson.
Okay. And what about you, Aaron? I know you mentioned Tony Humphries, which, you know, a lot of us are really familiar with Tony Humphries. Big influence of mine as well. But were you listening to club music before Tony Humphries, or was he the DJ who introduced you?
I was listening to CNC Music Factory, CC Peniston, I think is Rizola.
I know who you're talking about. A female artist.
Yeah. That she was actually the first one that I really fell in love with, and I had her album, and I used to run her album like Mark used to run those CDs. So I understand that. I have not been able to find her music anymore since then, but she was like the first person that showed me that house is something that you can sing on. Mm-hmm. So she gave me the understanding of that, and then when it switched over to CC Peniston and the other artists, it was like, oh, okay, I got it, I understand it. Mm-hmm. Always wanted to do it. Never thought it would happen because I just didn't know anybody that was even remotely connected to it until I was in a church and Junior White and Noel Barbera. They were there. They asked me if I'd be interested in singing house music, and I was like, what's house music? So once they showed me, I was like, oh, that's what I've been looking for. So Wonder Why was actually a gospel song written in an R&B style. So it was very, very slow. But he asked me if I could speed it up. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's make it happen. And that was the first. Then after that, I was like, oh, I love this house music. I need to stay here. So I just kept grinding and kept pushing and kept grinding and kept pushing and kept grinding. And it just, one thing led to another. And here we are today.
That's a beautiful thing. And the two of y'all work together quite a bit, it seems. Yeah. You got some iconic records out there in the world.
Yes.
And I would love to hear a little bit about your creative process. Like, how does it work? How do these songs come to you? Do you have rituals? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Well,
you go first.
I was gonna say for Resting Place, that was a bit different, and really Mark has to start that one.
Because each record we did, we reached out to each other. Resting Place was I reached out to him. Heaven, he reached out to me. And I Need You Now, he reached out to me. Then I did another one, he reached out. So we all worked off of it. But I think it was I did meet Aaron one time, but I guess I didn't pay attention. I was just telling him today we was at a venue and he actually performed. And I DJ, but he just performed, but I didn't like pay attention to him. But something happened. I was somewhere, and I think I heard him perform, and I said he could sing. Like, you heard a person that could sing. So I remember Junior White did a remix of Dietrich Haddon Resting Place. It was a gospel because Junior White used to make these gospel house versions, and I remember hearing it. And Shelter's known to do edits, so we hooked it up, and I just like. I can hear Aaron K. Gray on this. And I think I called Spin. I don't know how we connected. And I said, I need to reach out to him. And I reached out to him. I said, hey, you think you could do this? And he was like, yeah. I said, okay, because I just heard, I can hear his voice. So we connected in the studio right away. Because we got Carissa Nicole, the girl that did Stuck on You. She's singing backgrounds on it. She's singing Resting Place. She's singing that. We knocked it out one night in the studio. One night, knocked it out. 2 hours. 2 hours. It was because you're working a professional, right? And did his part. She did a part, directed how he wanted, and made it happen. And then working, I mix fast because you as a DJ, you want to play it. So I mixed it, but I was just telling him too, I didn't break the record in Jersey. I did it, but I was so busy, I didn't get to it to play it yet. I gave it to Jihad Muhammad. And then Jihad Muhammad was playing it, and everybody started hitting me. Hey, can I get a version? I'm like, what are you talking about? Resting Place. I'm like, oh, y'all like that? Because it wasn't out yet. And I was like, oh, this is really going off. This is blasting off. And then there, like Jersey has two scenes, the underground scene and the commercial scene, because I always say house music in Jersey is played every day at all different places and bars. So that's why it's nothing wrong with the commercial scene. It's just, it's played so much that different pockets play it. It's not just a club. So you can go to a spot called Marlowe's, or you can go to a spot called Bravo's, or different places. Marlowe's or Bravo's is more underground, but Marlowe's is at a time where we had a DJ. He would play it. And that's a commercial crowd that don't go to the underground crowd like, wow, I like this record. And when he one of the guys called me from there, it's like, yo, this record, Resting Place, man, they loving it. I said, yeah, I do? Wow. So it just blast off from it. And I was just like, wow. And then to this day, it's still one of the favorites.
I'm going to be honest with you. That track is the track that actually started making the biggest buzz for me, and that brought me into New Jersey. So that basically brought me into my homeland. Were you at Kenny's birthday at 9A in Harlem?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay, because I was going to say that might have been when you heard me sing.
I remember when my mentor, Timmy, told me this. I was working on music, and you know, and this is a good advice I tell people, you always want different artists to work with. Like, oh, I want Monique Bingham, I want Sarah Divine, I want Kenny Bobian. And he said, yeah, it's cool to get those people, but just remember, when those people perform your record, they're not going to perform your record. So I was like, why? He said, because they have their 5 hits. You'd be like, what? Listen, Kenny has his 5 hits. Monique has his 5 hits. Your record probably is not going to fit in that rotation. And it could be good. It's just that these are their hits. So I was like, wow. He says, you got to find an artist that's going to perform your record every day. Now, when he performed, I'm not there, but I'm there. You're doing Heaven, you're doing Resting Place. You find an artist that's going to say, they're going to perform your hit. So till he stops ever performing, Resting Place is always going to be part of the hit. So I always remember that advice, and I'm like, wow, that is true. There's nothing wrong working with those artists, but you want to find somebody that can say, you know what, when I want you to perform, and if it gets big, you're always going to perform my record.
Which is absolutely true, because as an artist, when you're on stage, you want to give the people what they want. You want to give them experience. You know, you don't have an hour and a half to give them everything. So when the time that you have to be smart about it and pick the best of the best that will fit that crowd. So if you don't fit that top 5, it may be great on the radio, may be great elsewhere, but they won't be able to sing it because that doesn't fit the format that they need.
Because your song could be good with that artist, but it's not going to like Monique has so many hits. So can my song take out Pure? No. Can it take out Deep in the Bottom? It could be good, but when she goes, she has to perform those hits. But when you find a new artist and you grow with them, he's gonna say, wow, this is a hit, this is a hit, this is a hit. That makes his hit. And now anybody else comes in the mix, this is gonna be like, next week, be like, dang, everything is Mark Francis. But nothing wrong about that. But that's how I look at it music wise.
Did you know when y'all were working on the record it was gonna be a hit?
No, we didn't know that. I didn't think what happened was it was such a hit that everybody kept playing it, and some people know me for doing this. That if you playing so much, I don't want to play it no more. I said I'm gonna make my own version, and I made another version. So I want to separate myself from them, because when I played it, it was like, "What version is this?" I was like, "Yeah." No. I was like, "Yeah."
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that, because I just like it was getting played everywhere. It got to a point that one time I was at a party, and the guy before me played it, and I was like, "Yes," because I was like, "I don't gotta play it." You know, you gotta play your record. I said, "What record I gotta play?" I said, "He just played it, but Resting Place." I said, "But he just played it." No, you gotta play it again, because you know how you play it. I said, yeah, but he just played it. So I was like, come on, why? But I still played it because that's what they wanted.
I can attest to that being true, because there was one party, I was there really early, and then the first DJ played it, then the second DJ played it, then the third DJ played it, then Mark Francis had to play it, and there was another DJ that had to play it, and I was just like, and it's all the same version.
I was like, that was like, you have to play. I was like, when I see when somebody play the music that I do, I'm like, thank you. I don't got to play this. And it's like, you know, you got to play it because it's your record. I said, but I don't want to play it. So I had to figure out a way to do something different.
So how do you strike that balance, right? Because obviously in Jersey, you have a very loyal and committed house community, right? They checking for the records, they know the words, they buying the releases. So you want to give them what they want, but you also want to be different, and you also are the human iPod. So you're always listening and you're always digging for music. So how do you approach a set? Like, are you thinking about like, how am I going to give them what they want, or how, am I going to give them what I think they need? And
I think when they start to hear you more and know what you do, then you're good. At the first time, we talk about this. I was in Jersey, there, Timmy Redisford. There was a lot of DJs and a lot of people that never went to the shelter, and Timmy was never playing in Jersey. So I was coming over there with these Timmy remixes of playing Stevie Wonder's Are You My Singer? And they were like, oh my God, Share My World, Kim's. They never went to the shelter. They heard me play it. So like I noticed that my style of playing, because I was doing overlaying and looping, that some at the beginning in Jersey, they didn't understand that, because why? They never went to the shelter. They didn't know that, but they was like in exclusives, so it was confusing. But now to the point they went to copy that style. A lot of guys are overlaying and playing and looping. So I'm at parties like, really? Okay. But it's okay, because it shows that, all right, I changed the culture. But then I said, all right, I'm going to get back away from the looping. I'm going to start writing. Writing means make sense of the record that you're playing, to make sense of what it is. Now, breaking records, I think people know what I'm going to do. I do know if you're a Jersey to fit some of those records in, but I'm going to sprinkle some things in. Because I just think we're not stuck. We just play house music so much that you go to a party, you leave this party, you're gonna hear Dawn. You go down while you leaving that party and driving, the bar can be open with a window. The door could be open. You hearing Dawn So Lovin', or not? I mean Dawn for me. You could hear Kusa Kusa down the block. You could hear different versions. So it's so much house music in Jersey, where you got these mayors and the festivals, and you have 5 mayors and 7 mayors that love house music. So it's oversaturated, you feel, right? So that's why it's an underground and a commercial scene. While the underground scene loves the music, what I mean underground, they're going to love the music, but they don't want to be with those people that's not younger. So it's just so much music. So you just I think Jersey has got to the point they know what everyone's going to do. So when you come or Patrick come, they can enjoy you because they know what you're going to do. Where New York is house, but New York is still, they mainstream parties of what? Hip hop and R&B, right? So that's why I think in Jersey, wow, they look at us like, I could be tough, but I just look at it like, we do hear the conversation like, oh, we play new music, but you can't do that in Jersey. You have to sprinkle some stuff, right? You have to please the people no matter what. And I say that because we're still some DJs that when you play, as long as you know how to program it right, that's it. That's how I look at it. Listen, Jersey, we could be tough, but it made me a better DJ, because why are you going to stand there and make you dance? Yeah. Where New York, I felt was more of like, okay, we're going to dance. And New York be like, this DJ ain't good, but I just need to get my dance on because I'm stressing. Where Jersey be like, he wasn't good tonight. And
they will let you know.
They will let you know.
That's a very true thing about New Jersey, because New Jersey made me a stronger singer, because I've seen different artists sing in New Jersey. I thought they were good, but I thought they also could have done a little bit better. New Jersey was like,
I think one time when he performed, people were catching the Holy Ghost. And I think that's performing wise. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's about performing. You have to be energetic, and Jersey you need to keep them engaged, right? And you might see some people sitting down, but those people love music too. But it's just, everyone can have their styles, and everybody can have the same music you have, but it's just about how you put it together.
That's very true. I don't know how it happens, because house music is about dancing, and it's about joy, and it's about happiness. I pull tears from people on a dance floor, which I think is really unique, but I understand it's because I'm not just singing to you. I'm giving you me. So that way you're having an experience with me. I don't like to stay on the stage. I feel like I'm too far from you. I can't feel you all when I'm on the stage. I need to be in the midst of the people to have an experience, because you're going to share with me and I'm going to share with you.
It's an
And that's-
exchange.
Exactly. And it has to be that way. Even with the DJ may have to stay up in the set, but he's still reaching to the people, and the people are
she.
still, he or she. And the people are still reaching back to him or her.
Or they.
But it's got to be a constant giving back and forth. When I start singing, I sing and it sounds good. The people let me know that's what we need. That's what we want to hear. Okay, that's what you need. That's what you want to hear. I know our direction to continue to go in. So I just keep going and go harder and go harder and go harder. And they love it more and more and more, and they appreciate it. Same thing with DJing.
DJing is very easy. I'm sorry to say.
You think so?
I think it's
Blow apart.
huh?
So you just blowing up.
No, I'm just saying is in a way when I mean it's
Hard work.
easy is it's about reading the people what you're doing. If you're playing in a car with 3 people, the most important is that person has to keep that floor going. I think the person before you play those hits to get them going, the first person. Second person, I always say this about house music. We're the only genre, I think DJing wise, we don't care what somebody else is going to do. When I mean, like, if we did a set right now, all 4 was a hip hop and R&B. Patrick, don't play no hip hop. Don't play no reggae. I want to play reggae. Nina, don't play 90s hip hop. I want to play the 90s hip hop. Don't play no South music. I want to play South music. Right? That's how it is. So if he goes and play a Jay-Z song and cut off the first verse, like, yo, he just wasted that Jay-Z song. I could play that later. But in house music, I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do, because I know I'm going to have something different. Now, I might come and listen to what you do to make sure I don't do some of those records, but it's just, that's what I love about house music, where it's just different. And some people, I mean, one time somebody was like, oh, man, I got to play in front of my Mark Francis. He was like, Mark Francis don't care what you play at all. And I was like, I really don't care. Just do you. And I say you have to do you. Do not worry about, oh, I hold all the records for you to play. I want to play none of your records. No, play all the records. You need to show off and show out because you want to come back. That's how I look at it. So that's why I'm very stern about, like, you want to show off. You have to come here to perform. We're artists. So when I go in and somebody's like, oh, my gosh, like, yo, that's what you paid me for, to perform. Right. That's how you look at it. Like, if he's singing, you want the crowd to be like, yo, I caught the Holy Spirit here. That's what you paid me for, to him to come here to perform, not to be dry. Because it is some singers that do dry. I do see that's dry. And I think that's the part for him as a show. You know, sometimes I want to be a singer too, because y'all got like 10 minutes y'all do. We got to work hard for 4 hours, right?
Oh, wait. That's one of the things that I hope I get to change somewhere in house music. 30 minutes. I'm like, 30 minutes? It's like, I'm just getting warmed up in 30 minutes. Right. Give me an hour, hour and a half.
Okay.
We gonna have some real fun. And you think you've had an experience, that's when it becomes a real experience. It's just sticking your foot in the water if you give me 30 minutes. The one time that they let me do an hour, it was in South Carolina. And when I kid you not, I had a blast, and so did those people. They will never forget me, and I will never forget them. It's a show. It's a concert. You wouldn't ask Beyonce to come and give you 30 minutes. Nah. The whole room would be livid. You know, the same thing for Chrisette Michelle. The whole room would be livid.
But that's the thing we talk about is, if you're giving a good show for 30 minutes or an hour, it got to be energetic.
That's right.
It can't be dry. And you could go with your hits, but it has to be energetic.
Well, Mark, you know me. I go there with a rag because I'm going to sweat. I remember in Baltimore, I did a show, and I couldn't find where I put my rag. So I'm singing, and I literally started singing like this because I had sweat everywhere. So I'm singing like this. And then when that song ended, I was like, can somebody pass me my rag? So I got the rag, and I dried my face, and I just looked at the people, and I was like, whew! And they all just fell out laughing. But it's because they understand. It's like, okay, this dude is really giving it to us.
Well, to add on to what both of you touched on, for me, my experience, I grew up in the church too. So as to what Mark was saying about when you do perform, someone like me, you may do a remake of a song that used to be a gospel standard, but it's how you sing it and how you perform it that you're really touching folks out there. Right. You know, so it's almost like you feel like you're in church. You know, so that's very powerful. You know, my experience with that. So I'm sure you touch a lot of folks with the lyrics of your songs and how you perform them.
I do my best because when I was younger, I wanted to commit suicide. Music saved my life. So when I put out music, it's not just putting out music because it's cute, it's nice, I want to be in the limelight. I could care less. I put out music to save lives, like music saved mine. So that's the real reason why I do what I do and why I am so happy with it. Because I constantly get emails about, you know, I had a day like this, or, you know, I've been going through this. My mom passed, my father passed, you know, my boyfriend did this, and, you know, my girlfriend did that. And this song got me through. Watching you on the live got me through.
He
Reading
even,
the posts.
a few of my friends, his son passed and called me and said, I need him to come sing at my son's funeral. I was like, for real? He's like, yes, resting place. And he went to perform it. We touched them up, and the young kids were like maybe 19 to 20 felt in love with it because the way he presented it at the church of it, you know. Like I was saying, house music, gospel music is very big in house music. Sometimes it's sing in a way that you don't know it's gospel. Like a perfect example of a song I did not know she was singing to God was Hot. That's How Much I Love You. Ambrosia. She was talking about God. Because you hear the lyrics when I was here, I was like, dang, what man you want? You walk through fire, walk through rain. I was like listening to it. I was like, she's talking about going through the fire, going through the rain, right? And I'm like, going through fire, she's talking about that. And then someone says she was talking about because she had cancer and she's thanking God, that's how much I love you. I do anything for you. So gospel is a lot of songs out here. It's gospel. And if you notice, gospel is getting back up there, so a lot of songs are coming out. Like I was telling him, I don't know, Patrick, years ago, I used to hear that sometimes the artists, they would tell him, don't say God so much, don't say Jesus so much, because it's worldwide, and some people have different things how they say, oh, don't say God, but now it's just Jesus. God is like, and I was playing him how South Africa is very known for gospel house. It's very big out there. And I was playing some of the South African house gospel for him. And he's like, wow, they love gospel music out there. So, you know, I feel like gospel music is big, but the gospel music part of it doesn't get the top billboards, right? We all go to church. I go to church and I hear these songs. I'm like, I'm Shazam. I'm like, what is, I never heard this song before. And my wife would know these songs. I'm like, these are old, but they're big songs. And you've been singing and the kids know, your family knows. So, you know, big, it's very, very spiritual. Like you have Kenny Bobian, but there's so many different artists that sing it. You just never knew. Like God help those self. You heard that, you didn't you didn't understand what they was talking about, and not knowing that all the other songs lift up every voice and sing. You would never think that until you get an older understanding of it.
Absolutely.
Like I have a few songs, like Right Now is one of my songs. It's actually a gospel song, but most people don't realize. They think, ooh. Like, ooh. It's like, no, I'm in a need right now. And right now I need you. I'm not trying to be impatient. I'm not trying to rush you. I'm not trying to be pushy, but I need you now.
Wow. Absolutely. Well, I guess I have another question. I know you both, I don't know if you both attended Zanzibar.
Not me. I'm a baby. 45 years old. Zanzibar. Yeah, we ain't ever do no Zanzibar.
I was able to go once.
You was able to go once?
And had a great time. But I know Tony Humphries is a staple in New Jersey. I know he's known for playing really gospel, soulful house, different genres. I guess when he was on the radio, I heard he introduced Kraftwerk.
Kraftwerk
types of groups.
I think Rescue Me, right? All those records, yeah.
Okay.
I listened to Tony when I was young, but I gotta listen to the old sessions. Some of the stuff. One thing about Tony, when he was on the radio, he was different. He played a lot of stuff that you ain't never gonna hear again. Where Timmy and them was on the radio, would play more of the common commercial stuff that you're like, oh, I know this song. Like Grace of God and stuff like. But Tony broke a lot of records. Like other day, Timmy was telling me Tony broke the Clark sisters. You're on my sunshine. First person to play that in the club, right? It had Jersey. That was a Jersey record. All right, that was a very big record.
Yeah. I know sounds and styles are changing in club music, so I'm just wondering. I know where Tony started off, and it seems like now Afro is kind of the big thing in New Jersey, and just from on this side, I feel like I don't hear that gospel soulful house coming out of New Jersey as much.
I think we're mixed. I can't say it's all Afro. You have it's not that much vocalists. It is vocalists, but there's not much gospel. You have Aaron that sings that much. Artists. We have a lot of singers in Jersey, and they all have their different styles. Kia Stewart, Dawn Soul Lovin', right? And they have their different styles, but because everyone's gonna make a song that's gonna fit for them. So you never know when something's gonna snap off. But I think we're more vocals. I think it's a lot of vocals. It was a time in Jersey where it was very like the Afro sound because everybody's playing, but I think it's mixed now. It's a mix is how it is. I think so.
I want to go back to you've mentioned a couple of times your mentor. You may have heard of him, Timmy Regisford. For people that don't know about the shelter and how important it is, how much of an influence I think it is to probably a lot of our sounds. Talk a little bit about maybe your experience with the shelter, your relationship with Timmy, kind of what have you learned from that?
So I was going to shelter 2002 when I first went. I was going in there to enjoy the music and the people and environment, and at the time of the shelter just had its own type of vibe. So meaning I would get there at 12 o'clock at night, and everybody would tell you why you did that so early, but I didn't know. I would go there from 12 and be there till like 7 in the morning, and that's my fix. And I'll be leaving. I'm like, why are these people coming in with their book bags? Like yes, it's 7, I get it, but why are y'all coming in? And I think when I found out, like, oh, yo, you was listening to Timmy? That ain't nothing. He ain't do nothing. I said he ain't do nothing. So at that time frame, I got to go, and I was hanging out with Omar Abdallah. So Omar used to sell CDs, and he used to sell CDs in front of the shelter. They used to ban him a lot sometimes. He used to be pissed off at Omar. So I'd be in the car, and Freddie, that I'm real close with, at that time frame, I built a relationship with Freddie, and Freddie used to do the parties at the shelter, and they needed help, like decorations, and I would come in and help Freddie. And I remember at that time moving. Then I played basketball. So time was coming past like 2006 or 7 or 8, right? 2008, playing basketball. I used to play basketball with a Spanish kid all the time. I'm like, who is this kid? He used to shoot jump shots all the time, shoot jump shots. Never want to play D2. He never stick D2, by the way. Never. So he used to shoot jump shots. And I'm like, we never had conversation, but every time we went to the park, we would play because I live right across the street. And I go to the shelter. Now I'm going 7 in the morning now. I go there. The Spanish shit comes out, Adam Rios. I'm like, what you doing here? You like house music? He's like, yeah, I like house music. I said, for real? I said, what is your name? He's like, Adam Rios. I said, oh, swear. Because I heard the name. And we connected. And I guess at that time, I praise my sister for this. Is a few things. My sister gave me my first laptop. And when she gave me my first laptop, I had Omar CDs. Remember I told you, Omar had all the names on the CDs and artists. I went on LimeWire, typing them in. I like this song. I like Change For Me. Somebody New, George Levine. And just downloaded it, LimeWire. LimeWire started crashing. So then I went to this other place called SoulSeek. People don't know about SoulSeek. That was another site. You go up to get music. So SoulSeek was you have a hard drive, you connect your hard drive to it. So if you want music, you get everything you share with your other friends, and then they share with you. But you can see those in order. So I always get that. You can type in Quentin Harris, you get that. So I had all this music, and at this time, digital got away, it was not about CDs. It was coming to the digital world. CDs were dying out. So now it was like you had to really find your music. So I was just downloading stuff off Omar stuff. And I remember one time giving Adam a whole bunch of music and gave him some music to Adam, and he would give it to Timmy. So Timmy was like, where you getting this music from? He's like, some kid in Jersey. He was like, this kid from Jersey. And I think Pete, though, told Timmy who I was, and Timmy called me. I was like, huh? Not saying that. Before Timmy called me, I always tell this funny joke. He don't remember. He kicked me out the booth one time because I wasn't vibing to him. But I always tell people, don't judge. He kicked me out, but I was my fault. I knew it was my fault because my energy was negative in it. Like you DJ and you look back and somebody just staring at you. Like that energy is like you
looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, you would do the same thing. Like, yo, like, why is this person in the booth and he's not like vibing to me? I wasn't vibing to him. He just standing there looking like this, and I was just looking like, what you doing tonight? That's my look was. And he's like, can you step out? So either way, we connected. Years passed. I was doing a lot of A&R for Shelter, and I got to understand the movement of how he worked. I was finding records, giving him records, presenting records to him, doing the stuff with the Peverins projects, connect with this, get this from over here, tell the label, go over here, listen to this over here. And then I remember one time he said to me, Adam went away to Japan, and he's like, I need you to DJ a party. I was like, I was like, I don't know. I did it back then, Tommy, but I ain't ready. He said, you could do it. You have good taste of music. You're not going to lose. All that mixing stuff, that dude, in time you will. I was like, I ain't ready for that, man. I'm not ready for that. And I used to make mixes off Tractor, but I was syncing. So I used to make mixes off Tractor and sync and give it to people. But syncing is hard too, by the way. I didn't know that was that hard. So I was like, I'm not ready. He's like, you are ready.
Why do you think I don't DJ?
Yeah. I say, why? I say, that's hard. So wound up, I didn't play at that party. I just wasn't ready. But I brought my CDs, but somebody else, I told Timmy to put somebody else on, but I was there, and he's like, you ain't play? I was like, no. But I just wasn't ready. And I think the first person that put me out there was Beloved. He forced me. And I was horrible. The music was good. Everything with the music was a 10 because I had stuff that nobody knew. And it's so funny, Jersey was rough on me. He too underground. He too deep. I could play these records right now that I played. You were like, oh, my gosh. When I played them at the party, it was like I was too deep because it was just different. Mm-hmm. And
what year was this?
2011, 12. And I think when I fell, that night was horrible because I couldn't mix. I was playing on Tractor. Didn't know that I was playing the Tractor so much. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to this party and just sync. I could make this happen. Didn't know that when you plug in Tractor, you see the number beats BM on there, right? But didn't know it doesn't come on the CDJ. Remember, you had to put the disc in. I was like, why is the number not on the CDJ? What? I didn't. It just wasn't working. So the next day I went to go practice. I put the computer to the side. And I always tell DJs, just learn how to play on everything. Mm-hmm. Now I know I can play on anything. If I want to do Serato, if I want to do Tractor, if I want to do here, I know how to play that. So I got some CDs and practice. And Timmy, he still sat in the back and was like, okay, I hear you. Then I did Tyrone Party. Like I was telling you, I played a Tyrone Party, for instance. I opened up for Tyrone. And I was playing, and Timmy, people will come back and tell Timmy, yeah, he's good. He's playing good music. And he still got to work on some stuff. And Timmy was like, okay. He just like, he wanted me to crash dummy some all different places. And he was like, okay. And then he put me on the first party in Miami with me, Greg Gautier. It was like a dance competition. And he put me on. And I played, and I went in. I was first. And he said, okay, you want to hear the good or the bad? I was like, go ahead. He's like, you can play. You can mix. But you got to understand how to open up. I was playing like it was prime time. Mm-hmm. Here we go. I'm playing first. Masterpiece wasn't even out yet. Mm-hmm. I'm rocking Masterpiece with nobody on the floor here. Come on, like that's a prime time record. Mm-hmm. So I was just under him. So he just taught me. He said to me one day, he gave me some old sessions from like 2002, 2003 when I came. He said, listen to this stuff. Pick a style that's going to work for you. I said, okay. And I'll listen to the old stuff. I love listening to this old stuff. So I just listened to it when I was there. I'm like, oh man, wow, I pick a style, a vibe, and that's how I did it. So meeting him, he has introduced me to so many people, and I just took the advantage of connecting the dots and saying when he introduced me to, hey, speak to Patrick Wilson. I'm gonna be with him. Just find out if he has this set up for me. I wouldn't know Patrick, but it just told me to reach out to Patrick. But then after a while, you build a relationship with Patrick. I kept the relationships. Hey, speak to Dean to get everything for the album. I was like, all right. Wound up speaking to Dean. Next thing you know, Dean, hey, I have an album. Here, Dean. You talked to Dean already? I said, yeah. Speak to Spen. I met Spen. Hey, for this album, speak to Spen. Did that. Next thing you know, hey, Spen, I got stuff. So I just made sure all the relationships, and I tell people, take advantage of when you meet people, introduce you to people, build that relationship. Keep relationships going. Keep it going because you always and later on going to have a connection. So he connect me with everybody, and I just take advantage of it. He got me into the club. I don't need to call him no more to get to the club. That's how I look at it. And that's how where shelter movement is very big, especially when you ever go to Greece. They got tattoos on their back, their arm, their neck, their leg. They love shelter so much, right? He brought a movement over there. Japan, I hear stories of people just sit on the dance floor and just sit there and cry. So I learned that being under shelter, not one thing would push me to, probably going to ask me this question is, I saw that it was his brand, and I said, that is always going to be his. And I'm under it, but I need to have something for me. And that's why I did 201 Records. That's what my push was. I need to have my own avenue. I'm still here, but I need to have another avenue to go to because that's him. And he loves music, and he's always going to be there. But sometimes people like depend on people to do things. I couldn't do that. I said, I need to have another avenue for me. So when I had a conversation about a label, he's like, well, listen, man, if you do this, you got to be like 10 records, 11 records deep. You got to have a plan because that's his coming from this industry. And I was like, yeah, I got it. And I just put everything together. The part of the transition maybe opening to 201 Records was from his good friend John told me, go 201 Records, represent Jersey, represent where you're from. 201 is from where I'm from Jersey City. The area code where I lived was 201. So that's how everything came together.
Okay. I have a question for both of you. Both of you have been in the music business for quite some time, and it's changed over the last few years. How do you both feel the state of club music and house music is where it's at right now, as an artist and as a label owner?
As an artist, sometimes I think it's growing in a direction that if we don't pay attention to it, it's going to get muddy. And there's too many lines that are being blurred together instead of everybody being respected for who they are and where they are. So it's if we're not careful, we're going to make a mess and it's going to be muddy. But I also see a lot of new artists coming in with a lot of new flavor and a lot of new style. And they are putting their heart into the music. So I'm really, really seeing a lot of that. And I love that. I really, really love it. Because now I feel like I'm not the only one who puts that kind of an emotion in a song. I'm sure there was probably more before that I just don't know of, but now I'm really coming across it. So it just seems like there's more raw emotion being
Can
put
you
in
give
the
us
music.
some artists or some
I don't know their names because I've never met them. But you know what? When the songs come across me, I'm gonna send them to you. So you'd be like, oh, that's what you mean. Because I'm like, especially with the guys, like I've not heard just Kenny Bolbian, there's myself, there's Pevin Everett, what's the short? Tiger Wilson. So, and I think there's one more who I'm not remembering right now.
Where singers?
Yeah, guys.
Nathan Adams, maybe?
Nathan Adams. We have a lot of them. I think in the state where we're at right now with house music is, I think
There's more than that.
it's more than that. I
and
think
they're taking it to the next level.
They are.
You know, they started in one place, like Pevin and everybody else started in one place, but they kind of like the roots, and we're able to grow from them because they laid down the foundation. They were the roots.
I think like on house music, I like about a lot of the artists, singers too, are just, I always say this, just don't be open just to house, just be all across the board. I think like Terry Hunter said this the other day, just challenge yourself, go different beats per minute, different stuff, and just be different. I think that would make you comfortable to say, hey, Aaron, okay, you don't got to sing house. You can sing at a funeral. You can sing at a, do this. You can sing on a stage. You see what Louis Vega did. Like, look at Josh. Josh is more say, hey, I'm an artist now. I'm a jazz artist. I do house. Now, if you want me to perform, I want my band. He's not coming out no more just with him performing with the track. He wants a band now. That's showing the growth of it. Just like the other day speaking to Arnold Jarvis, he said, hey, if I come back, I want a band, right? So I think the artist is more of pushing themselves. When it comes to DJs, I think we have a lot of good DJs. We have a lot of youth of it. You have just the DJs that I know, and there's a lot. I think I would just say be different. Be different. Do your homework. One thing I'm starting about with the young guys that I try to take someone under my wing is because I felt like people took me under their wing, and I'm always willing to help because I'm confident in myself. And I think when you're confident in yourself, I ain't worried about what he's going to do. He's not going to take gigs with me. I'm Mark Francis. If he's him, he's going to do him. But I just say do your homework. I'm very certain about that. Like, treat it. I remember when I used to go buy records, I used to spend every week $100, $200 to find something that's different. So I just say in this music, somebody's like, oh, it ain't nothing on Traxsource. It is stuff on Traxsource. You got to search it.
You got to dig.
You got to go to Beatport. You got to find different avenues. So when it comes to house music, we got Black Coffee. We have different people that opens it up for us. And we have a lot more DJs. Just like the pandemic, we gained about, I could say this, 300 to 400 more DJs.
1,000.
Right? 1,000. And there's a lot of guys at that time frame before the pandemic, those people would never DJ because it's either if they don't DJ in their house, they got to play at a club, right? So if they don't make it in a club, you don't put me on the party, Patrick. Oh, that's messed up. Now it's to a point, since the pandemic, I don't got to pay Elements. I'm playing on this Twitch show. They got 40 people, and I'm happy. And I'm like, wow. What opened me up to show that there's so many DJs, Shelter was dropping these things called remasters, right? And when I was seeing how 100 people buying this old stuff, I said, this is not the people that brought it before. These are new DJs. They ain't never heard of it and happy to play for 50 to 60 people online, and they have a crowd. And some of them don't play at no gigs at all. And I said, wow. So pandemic opened up a whole new avenue. The pandemic made you understand how to DJ, understand yourself, knowing what you had to do to work on your craft. So I think where we at as house music, as Chicago, New York, Jersey, Baltimore, over here, California, is about the youth and just being consistent. Yes, we're getting older, right? But I think we're at a point where there's opening different pockets, right? And I think we can keep it going because we in Europe, it is young, it's mixed too. People say London is older. There's a big crowd over there is older. You play there. So it's just finding the different avenues. And I think when you play at these different venues, there's plenty of talent and it will open up for you.
And evolve. Don't get stuck.
Yeah.
Evolve, grow.
You actually just touched on something as far as the age of our audiences. I played in Jersey. I think it's been twice now, maybe once or twice. And the crowd seems to be a little bit older. Do you see a young audience in New Jersey starting to?
It has to. I think we can't, like some people say when you hear Justin playing, they look at, well, he's not bringing on his people. He's never going to bring some of his people yet. And it takes time for that. I think when I was 21, going to the shelter, there were people, dancers in there that was 21 too. But you have to, but then that comes from the 90s, right? So the 90s music was just house music was all the time. So when you was a kid hearing it, you get older like I like this. We're at an age now is hip hop and R&B, right? So I think New York has a very big youth. When I come out here, Oakland, very big youth, but you know where it starts from? The dancers. But the thing is, some of the old heads, oh, I hate ciphers. I love ciphers, right?
Oh yeah,
like they used to argue. Like I remember in the shelter, they had their own little section. Stay back there, stay in the back. But I'm like, and then we get this argument sometimes with the dancers. I'll be like, hey, you know what? We used to have when we used to do parties, like, hey, you have a dancing crew? Okay, if you got like 20 of them, I'll put them a discount. Why are we giving them discounts? I said, but this is because when they say I'm here, they talk and bring here. When this young lady taught me how in the dance scene in New York is, people travel over from different countries to study. They come over here for the summer and rent apartments and learn how to dance, and they come out. Now, they might not have the money they have because they're on a fixed income, but you know what? They'll come if you cater to them and bring them and open up to the dancers. I think that's where it starts at, because they're the future, and they get older and they teach other people. Like we have Oakland. No one would never think Oakland has a dance scene like that, right? Because they never see it. When you come here, like, whoa, wait a minute, okay. When you look at the party I played with Eric, the video he showed, they was having a cipher in the back. And I was like, wow. Then you have Boston, big dance scene. Didn't know that when I was in Boston. A crew that takes the train coming down. Different pockets have it. And I always, I was somewhere, you have to find there's dancers. And they are dancers there. You just need to find them and cater to them, to push them, because, hey, friends, it's 10 of us going to be here tonight. And that 10 can come and make your party the best party ever, right? But that's where, if you look at it, most of those older heads were dancers. But now they dancers. Oh, they in the way. They blocking. I just think, and I can't say as a DJ, like the young kids, it's time. It takes time for them to come to that party. I'm not looking for, if you had just the DJ have his crew come to the party, you're not going to come to the party, right? Oh, you got these young kids in here. So it takes
that
time.
I don't understand, because you should be able to have no problem with you were there.
But they look at it.
You got a problem with.
But they look at it because it's young kids into our music. And don't get me wrong, it's times at a club. It's times at a club. See, in house music, if we don't know, in house music, we can have a party. We are on security.
Yeah.
We don't need no security guard. We could do a party with 400 deep and have no security. It'd be our best friend working the door. But when you have young kids, it's always that you see a young kid and you be like, but you see dancers come in, it's cool. But let it be an older crowd and one young kid came in with his 5 dudes and they're like, yo, man, this just look real fishy. So I just think we're open to it. We are getting older. And plus in Jersey, a lot of people never partied back in the day, so now they're coming out now too, right? So it's a different scene. A lot of them are partying because back in the day they never got to come out. But I think we're there. We just need to hit. There's so many different movements. I'm learning, like you have New York has a dancing cruise, and it's times that I used to play. Me and Adam Rios used to play at these parties for these dancers, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the dance sessions. Just go play for free, bring a little controller. And they be in there 15 deep. And then what happens is, where you at this weekend? I'm here. What happens? You tell me where you at. They tell their friends. Funkbox is the #1 party like that. So they're there, and they'll travel too. You just make them feel comfortable when you're in your party. And that's what I think it is. If you don't make them feel comfortable, you can't come to their party and like, yo, man, you got to take the cipher away. I like ciphers. That means you doing something. They're in a groove. Oh, they in the way. Okay, well, you just sit down. Let them party.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also about balance too, because not everybody wants to dance in a cipher. Some people want to dance with each other. They want to dance.
But
it's a room. It's more than enough room.
It's more enough room.
Yeah.
But I feel like this party, if you know you're the promoter DJ, they make your party. You don't come often. They come all the time. Right? You need to lock in, because we are getting older. You need to figure out different ways to bring people.
That part.
I think like in Brooklyn we have I don't know if what's the word they say, hippies, the like the different type of crews in Brooklyn. They want them to come in, the different crews, but you're learning as the dancers. You know, we have the young DJs now, and like the muscle cars have a young crew. They follow them. And what happens, they come out and dance. Like you say with Natasha Diggs, they come out and dance. I'm watching the videos. This crew, I'm seeing some of the old heads that's 60 or 70 years old at Natasha party in the cyphers, getting down.
Yeah.
Right? So we just have to open to it. So I don't look for the young DJs to bring, but I just tell the young DJ, when you playing, don't have to think you got to play for the older people. Show what you need to do. Don't get into no Dr. Love. Or I tell people that I was a 90s kid, so you're never going to get me play no classics. The most out of classics, you could get like 4 or 5 records, but that's not my style. But
you got to be authentic to who you are. Tell your story.
One of my favorite experiences when I went to, I think it was Baltimore, and they had me do a daytime party. And they had me come to the evening party. The daytime party was for the more matured group. The nighttime party, when it started, I was like, ain't nobody coming here. Because it was so empty. And upstairs, they were playing hip-hop and R&B. It was completely packed. I don't know what shifted, but all the kids that was upstairs came downstairs. And they were just in the house. And when I tell you, you couldn't move, there was like a little tiny DJ booth, and it was just a little corner of an edge on the outside of the door, and I had to stand there. I had to stand there and sing. I think I got more love from them than I think I've gotten in. I can't even say that. I got more love from them than I definitely know I was expecting, because that's like. Hip hop, y'all are all hip hop and R&B, and they were just like, sing another one, sing another one. And I was like, wow. So I like Mark is saying, we need to figure out how to incorporate because they're not going nowhere.
Because you travel around the world and you see these dance competitions. Look at those crews; they're young. Paris, France. Portugal is a big scene, I heard, of house music. So they're there. You just got, and they love music. Just got to lock them in and just bring them. I think it's just, I seen it from going to the shelter 2002, watching the older ones that saying, get out of my way now, was in these ciphers. And I'm like, you was in the cipher back in the day. Now it's like, oh, they taking up the floor. I think, I don't know, I love it. When I see that, it's just like you doing something, right? You're doing there. It's like telling your team, huddling up. That means like, yo, we got to get a plan together because this is getting off the hook. That's what I look at it like. It's a huddle. It's everybody's having fun and dancing.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of our mission here. We have a healthy scene, I feel, and part of our mission is to not only play the music for our audience, but also introduce them to the artist. So we really appreciate you, accepting the invitation to come here so people can now see you as well as hear you. So
he's the first artist you ever had. They had artists perform before at the party, singers?
Yeah, we definitely have. And I think it's something we want to incorporate even more because it just adds, it just takes it up to another level.
Yeah.
It's some serious healing that happens on these dance floors. And so bring in your talents. We can't wait. We're so excited to be celebrating.
I think this trip with Mark and I here is going to be extremely special because not only do you have the artist, you have the DJ who is also the producer of the same song. So you have
I'm okay.
the entire
Yeah.
so humble. You have the entire team there, and we understand what it took to get that record there. So now we also understand how to get you guys where y'all want to be. So we know what to give you guys.
And he's so easy to work with. So you give him something, knocks it out. Yeah.
And if there's something that you don't like about it, you let me know. I'll go change it. But normally when I send music back, it's
I really don't change it. No, I really don't. I like it. I like everything. He does. Some people are like, he's screaming too much. No, I like that. It sounds good to me.
Yes, bring on the screaming, the shouting, the wailing. We love it.
The spirits, you want to get spiritual up here. I think it's a healing thing. You know, that's the most important of it. I think that's what we love about it. So, especially when we do the music, is you get when he this other record we're working on. I kept like, did you finish it yet? I was looking forward to hearing it so much, and when he did it, just like I was like, whoa, it just touched me, right? Because it's just like wow, because you just want to hear what he's going to do to it. Right, and you know,
I'm just grateful that Mark don't get overwhelmed with the music and stuff, because I kid you not, it's like about 60 to 70 background vocals, if not more. And then there's 2 or 3 ad libs, and then the verses twice.
Yeah, that's good. I had sometime when somebody sent me like 300 stuff. I was like, Lord, I got mixed this, but nah, I think that's a good combination. And if you look at it back in the day, in the 90s. There was a lot of singers and the producer did work together, did a lot of stuff together. I think they did talk to us. I don't know about doing an album together, but we do so much. But I think if we ever did that, it'd be more just hitting ranges of different things. And I want some down tempo stuff. I want some basic stuff. And it you know, was showing me when we did Heaven. Oh, he could sing with other people too. And he could stay in a certain mode, right? So that's why I was like, okay.
So it sounds like there's an album coming, the Aaron
maybe
Mike Francis album on the way.
Big possibility.
Okay. We work good together. We know the sound that he wants and the visions of certain things. There's times I can give somebody a record. I'm still waiting for vocals. So it's just like you get like that, but
when you find someone who's ready, yeah.
It's a business, and you're only as good as your last performance or your last track, and you must take everything serious to the point where it feels like it's life or death. You give me a track today, I'm gonna write that track and sing it to you. If I sing it and probably give it to you the next week, if not the same week. I want it done so that way you have the time to do what you need to do with it, and whatever vision that you saw, you have time to execute it, and you're not sitting around like, it's been 4 months and I still don't have one. It doesn't take that long. It really doesn't take that long. If it does take that long, it might not be for you to write it.
That was a big thing of starting my label, is getting people's music out there. That, you know, I understand. I work with different label machines. When you give them a record, and he be like, okay, when you gonna put this out? In another year? Yeah, I have everything lined up. You'd be like, oh my gosh. Like, I felt like sometimes get this out, right? What was the project that we did 2 months, right? Some people, how are we going to do that next year, summer, right? Because it's scheduled. No, you can make it happen. It's just about connecting and doing your part. I think getting the music out and letting the general public hear it, I remember doing some music and I just like, why does it take us so long? And after a while, you're like, I forgot I did that because it took so long. And I get it, there's scheduling. But I said, you know what? If I have my own thing, I can control my own. I can put it out when I want to put it out, when I can drop it, right? If something is good, I like, let's get this out right away. That's how I look at it.
I used to be like that, Mark, but then I learned over the pandemic, when COVID started, just before COVID hit, I went on a tour to Italy. Before I left on that tour, there was a lot of music that I needed to record. So I made sure that I got it recorded. When we came back, COVID locked in. Nobody could go nowhere. I wasn't able to go record. But I had more than enough music to where I was still putting out tracks every 45 days. I was still out. A new track. But God picked the music and chose when to put it out, because Pray Until Something Happens came out. I Got a Feeling came out. Those were all in time with the right. So sometimes we gotta just let God be God, and he gonna put it out at the time where.
But if I can control it, I can do it. Not waiting for somebody else to control it.
All right, y'all. Well, we got a party to go rock.
Yes.
And just want to say thank you so much for flying out here, spending time with us today. And Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
welcome.
all the
Welcome.
beautiful music.
No, thank you.
Thank
Been out here 3 times, and I love it out here. Love the environment, love the energy, love the parties. I see how it has grown, and I'm impressed. And keep doing what y'all doing, because some people don't know what's going on the West Coast over here.
Let 'em know.
Let them know. And if you see how building your own party, look how y'all have evolved and traveling around the world now. And that's deep, having your own party. Now people like, hey, I'm gonna be over here in Oakland in the West Coast. So building, I remember the first time hearing about you playing. I was like, what? He's like, listen, she no joke. And Patrick Wilson is one of my idols.
Yep.
I would
Mine
listen.
too.
He's always one that pushes me, hearing him play. So I always enjoy your party and having the movement elements, and just keep doing what y'all doing out here in the West Coast and keeping the movement alive. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh, we the compilation, right?
Okay, one last thing.
Let's talk about
We do gotta talk about. Now, the reason the thing about doing this Element compilation, that's where I wanted to represent what y'all have out here. I thought about, I was like, let's do something for y'all to represent the West Coast, right? And having that and showing what your party is, and it could put you on the map and does whatever it does. And I'm just blessed that y'all did it. Putting it together, just coaching me, like, hey, this gotta be different. Right? I know Nina was like
a late night.
It was like a late night. It's like, yo, I said it's gotta be different. Being different, because I did the compilations, and you never know what the people like, but still give it your style and your way, and enjoying it and having tracks and making sure, hey, do an edge on something that y'all like, that make it your spin. But I wanted to represent y'all party, because I think not that many people do compilations representing with it, so you make it feel like live at Elements. And actually, this is a way y'all will rock there, right? So that's what you want to do. You're not pretending, and these are records that y'all will play there too. So that's why I made sure, like, you like these? If you like this, let me know. If not, don't. If it's stuff that you're gonna rock with, you gotta wanna. So that's what I wanted to do, and I congratulate y'all. Hey, we were number 1, holding it down. We're number 1 on the comp, right?
Congratulations.
We're number 1
and
on that.
thank you for including me.
Thank you for trusting us, and thank you for that invitation.
Absolutely.
Nah, that's what we wanted to do, and it's gonna be many more, right? Many more. Just, you don't do one compilation, you gotta do many of them.
Just getting started.
All right. Well, again, thank you both for being here. Everybody is looking forward to tonight, to hear you do what you do on the tables, and to definitely hear you do a live performance for us. So we're all excited. All right,
Peace, love, and happiness.